The Codecision role-play was organized simultaneously in Vilnius, Lithuania, and in Aldenbiesen, Belgium, from the 3rd till the 5th of May 2006. It was one of the pilot projects of Special, an international Grundtvig 1 project on European citizenship, in combination with the Grundtvig 3 in-service training course. Special stands for Strengthening and Promoting European Citizenship in Adult Learning. The Special project was launched to find new ways to promote active European citizenship in adult learning, focusing on participative methods and the use of information and communication technologies. A successfully implemented Codecision role-play gave the participants an insight into the way decisions are taken at European level, actively engaged them into the collaborative learning process of the role-play, and demonstrated information and communication technologies such as weblogs and video conference as a medium for intercultural cooperation. The Model European Parliament in Vilnius, Lithuania, was hosted by the House of Europe. The Model Council of Ministers in Belgium was hosted by the Land Commandery Aldenbiesen. The two groups in both countries worked simultaneously and communicated via email and via video conference. Participants represented an interesting mix of trainers, teachers and learners of formal and non-formal adult education, coming from 12 different EU countries. During the 3 days of the role-play, they adopted the role of the European Union politicians engaged in the codecision procedure. 4 European Commission proposals were prepared beforehand by groups of adult learners from different countries, communicating via weblogs and video conferencing. At the start of the codecision, these proposals were forwarded simultaneously to the European Parliament in Vilnius and to the Council of Ministers in Aldenbiesen. These two institutions shared equal legislative power and were asked to agree on an identical text before the proposals could become law. On day 1, the 45 members of the European Parliament in Vilnius started their role as representatives of political groups. For the preliminary discussions on the Commission proposals, they were proportionally split into 4 parliamentary committees. In Aldenbiesen, 45 adult trainers and learners played the delegates of the European Union member states. For the preliminary discussions on the Commission proposals, these country delegations were divided into 4 thematic working parties.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm sorry about the time. Can somebody
Participants in the committees and the working parties elected a chairman, then discussed the proposal and voted on acceptance of the proposal as such. If the proposal was not accepted, participants suggested amendments, which were either changes in the text or extra topics. Each amendment was voted and, if approved, submitted on a separate paper in a standard format. The results of the discussions in the parliamentary committees in Vilnius were then taken to the political party meetings. In Aldenbiesen, participants met in country delegations to analyze the decisions of the working parties and to prepare for the plenary session. On the second day of the role-play, the European Parliament and the Council of Ministers each had their plenary meeting. The plenary session of the European Parliament was chaired by the President. Participants were sitting in political parties. In the Model Council of Ministers, the plenary was chaired by the Chairman and the Vice Chairman. Participants were sitting in country delegations. Each proposal and the amendments to it were presented by a rapporteur, appointed by the respective committee or working party. then discussed in an open debate and voted. Representatives of the European Commission were present on both sides. The role of this commissioner was to explain proposals and to give their position on the amendments. At the end of the day, the European Parliament and the Council exchanged the results of the discussions by email, so that participants could prepare for the video conference for the next morning.
And therefore they are going to be reimbursed for those expenses. Okay? And this was the discussion that this particular political party had yesterday. Okay? Let's first see.
On day 3, the European Parliament in Vilnius and the Council of Ministers in Aldenbiesen directly communicated and debated with each other via video conference. Presentations of the Parliament's and the Council's position on each proposal were followed by an open debate and a vote. If the Council approves the Commission proposal and the amendments of the European Parliament, the Act is adopted. In the role play, all proposals were rejected in the first reading and taken to the second reading. For the second reading, the Parliament in Vilnius and the Council in Aldenbiesen met separately to discuss their position regarding the amendments. The two councils met again via video conference in the afternoon, but they only managed to agree on 2 proposals. For the 2 other proposals, a conciliation committee was convened. Finally, 3 out of 4 Commission proposals were passed. On both sides, the participants in the role play were very enthusiastic. Adult trainers were very impressed by the methods used and by their impact. Some of them will introduce role play as a citizenship learning tool in their institution, while others wish to include similar methods in their teaching practice. Adult trainers and learners indicated that this learning by doing event made them aware of the complexity of the decision-making procedures at this level. They realized how difficult it is to come to an agreement when so many different backgrounds and opinions are involved. Most participants showed that they were impressed by the knowledge they gained about European decision-making procedures. The improvement of both intercultural and debating skills was their next most important attainment. The participants were especially surprised by the way they themselves had been negotiating and making compromises to eventually reach a consensus. The role play seems to have encouraged almost all of the participants to develop a lively interest in the EU, in other cultures, in democratic structures, and so contribute to active citizenship.